You're listening to Season 15 of the Virtual Tailgate, a media bullcrap production covering college football in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I'm Andrew.
Oh, sorry, guys. I almost tripped over the Commonwealth Cup. I'm David.
And I'm disappointed that Andrew didn't play the intro.
And I got the bubble guts.
What intro do you want?
You know the one. Come on.
Oh,
the mashup. No. The mashup. The Night Court mashup. Like our theme song. There we go.
Outstanding athlete.
It's a transformative use.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Does Duke play football? You're damn right.
It's a different song with all these sound clips on it.
Outstanding athlete.
And that's
We gotta
all
update it
media
with a lot of new
bullcrap.
stuff. Have a Gatorade.
Go your day.
I'm sick of it. I don't even know why we even bring up the dadgum word. Next question.
Oh, man. I'm a dumbass. I'm a dad.
There we go.
That's
Thanks, Coach.
I have to go back and find the original. I mixed that live the time that I did it. Like I hit record and like played the one thing and then just decided when I wanted to hear the drop.
Just drop them in.
Yeah. It's like the closest I've come to, I don't know, like freestyling that I guess I can as a bald aging white
Outstanding
man.
athletes multiple times to really reiterate the point.
We didn't have many clips back then. Be sure to join the tailgate on Facebook at Virtual Tailgate or email us at virtualtailgate@mediabullcrap.com.
Oh, what was that?
Shit, I forgot to mute myself when I sneezed.
This
Sorry.
is going spectacular. All right, I just want to break something down for you guys. So we're gonna do a little word breakdown here this week on the Virtual Tailgate. We're gonna start with con, to persuade someone to do or believe something, typically by use of deception. Fi, not a word, if spelled backwards. Dense. This is the fun one here. This is the fun one that we've got. Compactly crowded, difficult to see or get through. Could also mean someone who has intellectual slowness. Not sure that's PC in this day and age, but anyways, can be used in multiple ways. So we put those together. We've got confidence. What does any of that have to do with confidence? Absolutely nothing. Because I did not take time to put together a read for the show this week. So I just made it up on the fly there, broke down the words for you. You could say that it take a little bit of confidence to just go off the fly that way. But speaking of confidence, we've got two teams playing this week that are going to need confidence. And you know what can give them confidence is if they make their way to Charlotte in a fine pair of Tacoma's work boots that will have them walking taller, feeling more confident as they make their way into the ACC championship game, a game in which we will put our sole focus on a little bit later on. But for now, Tacoma's work boots will have you feeling and playing more confident.
I'm always reminded that the rest of these guys aren't quite as nerdy as I am, because if I broke down the word confidence and I said con 3 times in a row, the third one would have been con. But anyhow, you guys didn't exactly. You guys didn't watch Star Trek nearly as much as I did. At any rate, kicking it off players of the week. I can't believe that there are any other games that anybody else is going to talk about here, but I'll let them talk about those lesser games. Jamari Taylor owned the world this week for Virginia during the Commonwealth Clash. He rushed for 80 yards and a touchdown while also throwing a touchdown pass, becoming the first ACC running back since 2021 to achieve both in a single game, clinching the trip to the championship game for the Cavaliers. I do like how my little summary there said clinching the Coastal Division title, which is absolutely not true, but because we know that the Coastal Chaos is leaked all over, not just all of the ACC, but in fact all of the NCAA ever since we got rid of divisions. And that is the price that everyone is paying for killing off divisions.
You can't contain coastal chaos. You can only pray it doesn't affect you. And unfortunately, coastal chaos affects everybody in the ACC.
I would I would just like to say before you move on to yours, Jared, I don't know who coined the term initially of the ACC being the all chaos conference. I know we've talked about that a lot on this show. It's made its way to ESPN, guys. I wish we would have been able to grab that bit before somebody else took it, but with all the stuff that went on this last week, there was an anchor on SportsCenter dropping our verbiage.
Wait, Jeff, I you were supposed to secure the trademark on that like 10 years ago. That was on your
I,
to-do list for
That's
the
my
off
soul. That's my
season.
soul. I'm sorry. I was too busy. I was too busy. I was trying to secure some swag and a great endorsement with some Tacobas work boots. Have us raking in a little bit of extra cabbage while walking taller, feeling more confident, and a little bit richer and a little bit heavier in the wallet. Clearly that did not work out the way I planned for it to.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, S happens. What can we say? Um, my game ball, speaking of the chaos in the conference, goes to JKS, the quarterback from Cal. I'm going to pronounce his name once and hope for the best. Jaron Piewi Sagapolo Tili.
I'll allow it.
Not your worst work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mouthful, folks. But anyway, JKS and his biggest upset of the year, the freshman signal caller had threw a career high 330 yards and 4 touchdowns against SMU. Which, by the way, the Mustangs had a must-win game of winning an in the ACC Conference Championship game and the ACC title game, and they blew it. Therefore, JKS is poised on the final game-winning drive, denied the Mustangs the title berth, and secured Cal's first winning season since 2019.
Here's my question, Jared. Which of the like the newly minted SEC coaches will be welcoming JKS to campus in a few weeks?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the NIL bag he's about to get offered?
I mean,
Holy
what Cal's gonna offer him is probably a few like woke tokens. If I go by the algorithm that they have, the Cal algorithm, by the way, it's a fun follow on Twitter if you're into that. Um, I, it'll be interesting. I don't know. I can see him staying another year at Cal and then maybe evaluating his options. But again, you make a good point.
I hope he does. That coaching job is much more attractive if there's a chance to keep him in town, right?
I think so. I mean, again, the ACC is such an attractive conference for being the Power 4, where you look at that conference, you go, "It's wide open." It really is. I mean, UVA
You're
was
saying
named
that like we haven't just seen the birth of a new dynasty.
let's pump the brakes there, coach, okay?
Oh man. All right, here's my game.
Win one.
Speaking of ACC dynasties, I'm going to go to one of our former dynasty leader, the Clemson Tigers. It's been a rough season for Clemson, but one player has stood out above the rest on the defensive side of the ball. That's safety Ricardo Jones. Guys, this season Clemson has notched 9 interceptions in total. Ricardo Jones accounts for 6 of them, and 2 of those were on Saturday. And Clemson's big win over the in-state rival South Carolina Gamecocks, including a pick 6 on his second pick of the day, with that put them ahead by 2 scores, sealed the deal, and a big win for Clemson. Finished strong on the season. Ricardo Jones, game ball from the virtual tailgate.
All right. Well, speaking of finishing strong, I'm going to go to a game that we talked about as a basically the toilet bowl of ACC football going into this last weekend. We had the Boston College Eagles taking on the Syracuse Orange, but my game ball this week is going to Turbo Richard. Not only does he have an awesome name, especially for being a running back, he had a great game as well. Finished the season strong, 15 carries, 102 yards, 2 TDs in Boston College, coming out victorious and winning the battle of who doesn't want to win a game after September, as both the Qs and the Eagles came in riding quite extensive losing streaks. But not just looking back, it wasn't just this week that Turbo Richard finished the season strong. Really, the last 2 weeks he really broke out. We'll see if that becomes something that he can build off of going into next season now that this season's over with. But really rushed for 200 or 260 yards or 250 yards the last 2 weeks. Averaged almost 10 yards a pop and 4 touchdowns in the final 2 games for the Eagles. So a good way for Turbo Richard to finish the season, finished it strong, and help the Eagles get the win.
All right, so now we're going to move on to the virtual power rank. Oh my lord, the virtual tailgate power rankings here on the virtual tailgate. But first, let's
Who's at the
have a
top,
moment.
Jared?
Yeah, I'm
Come on, man, let's hear it.
crushing it. I got a deep thought, and my deep thought is this: if one pisses during an ice storm, does the stream freeze? Hmm.
It's not about the ice storm, it's about how cold the weather is.
Okay, nerd. Thanks a
It
lot
can
for the
be
update.
it
but-
can be cle
yeah.
it can be clear, but if it's below 30, come on.
Jared, who's at the top of the power rankings, buddy? How'd they do
Oh,
this week?
Unanimously at the top.
Get us a
yeah.
result. We need to hear how it went.
At number one, with a unanimous decision after their 27-7 victory over Virginia Tech and reclaiming the Commonwealth Cup. The I almost said Virginia Tech Hokies. The Virginia Cavaliers are number one in the power rankings. I never thought this would happen, and yet here we are.
Neither did we, by the way. So
Yeah, hell
Oh,
has
hey, Jared. Sorry, my internet
number
blacked out for a
two.
moment there. Who's at the top? How did the game go? Where's the cup?
It's gonna be up your ass and to the left if you keep talking it like that, buddy. Number two, Miami. Up a spot, 38-7 win over Pitt. Number three, Pitt dropping a spot after losing to aforementioned Miami. Number four, Georgia Tech up a spot after their tough loss against their state rival Georgia, 16-9. Also tied at four. SMU after their 38-35 loss. I don't know how they didn't drop in the power rankings after that, but hey, good for you. Bottom three.
Yeah. You guys all made some really ridiculous moves at the top of your power rankings. None of you had Duke higher than 5th. Like, Duke is going to the championship game. They
Hey,
are
have you seen Duke's
Technicality.
record on the year?
Yeah,
Have you watched them play at all?
look, if I just said none of you had Duke ranked high enough. I'm not saying they need to be number 2, but if you had them ranked a little higher, SMU would have gotten its just desserts for playing as poorly as it did.
I mean, I think SMU beats Duke in another game. That's the problem. Like,
SMU can't beat Cal.
I'm not sure Duke can beat Cal.
well, speaking of SMU not being able to beat Cal, I think somebody might have something to say about that performance.
He clambered up, looked in, and nearly fell off in surprise.
Someone defecating.
It's hard to argue with that. I mean, SMU had the ACC championship game right there for the taking.
yeah, that was pretty rough to watch. But man, it really
And
did.
it's just amazing how no teams can go out to California and win, except one.
Wow. Well, bottom three here. Speaking of defecation, we have a bottom three of the third list here. Number 15, the Hokies, after their loss.
It's more just like a continuous stream.
It really is. These three teams have been in the bottom all year. Virginia Tech, I'm sure, is hoping they will be moving up next year in 2026. Number 16, Boston College, moving up a spot in our power rankings to close out the year after their 34-12 victory over Syracuse, their first ACC win of the year and only. Congratulations, the Eagles, which guess that means you can tell 15 other teams will be yelling this.
Get me!
Which is ironic because only one team doesn't get to be part of that phrase. It was the team that they beat, Syracuse. Congratulations, you end the regular season as our dumpster fire team of the year in the ACC. A team which, by the way, beat Clemson at Clemson by double-digit points. Gotta love this.
Year.
They kept you at the bottom of the barrel because you absolutely suck.
I guess losing a quarterback really does damage the team.
We don't play nobody.
You got that right, coach.
All right. Well, let's take a little detour before we get into the upcoming game to wrap up the conference for the year and talk a little bit about what has been across the year. For going to give out some awards both for offense and defense, and then talk a little bit about the coach of the year. Um, on offense, I already mentioned him once today. Jamari Taylor is my pick. As Jared pointed out to us in pre-show, no one has over 1,000 rushing yards in the ACC this year. Taylor is one of those at the top with well over 900 rushing yards. He is often listed not just as running back, but as athlete, as they talked about multiple times during the Commonwealth Clash. When the Cavaliers need a couple of yards on a third or fourth and short situation, they everybody knows it's coming. They hike the ball direct to Taylor, and he gets the yards that you need. Late in the game, last week, they were pulling out, all of the starters, and they decided to do the direct snap to someone who was not Jamari Taylor. He did not get to the line to gain. It is a unique skill that he possesses, that everybody on the field, everybody in the stadium, everybody within a 20-mile radius knows what's coming, and yet he gets it done. So my offensive player of the year goes to Jamari Taylor. Jared?
My game ball is gonna go to I think someone that I honestly looking back at the year, we didn't really talk about as much as I think we should have. Look at the statistics. How about Darian Mensah, the quarterback at Duke? 28 touchdowns this year, only 4 interceptions. Jeff pointed out before the show, he did not throw a single interception in conference play this year. Even though the record at Duke is only 7-5, it's not because of the lack of quarterback play, honestly. He has been very good. He has been very consistent. 3,500 yards plus in the air. The Duke offense is not the reason why they've been struggling at times during the regular season. And now he has an opportunity to really cement a fantastic season by pulling up on the biggest upsets probably in ACC history if they could find a way to beat UVA in Charlotte this Saturday.
Yeah, so speaking of players, this might be the first time we've talked about this player the entire season. We'd have to go back and look at game balls, but going back through and I was looking at we knew that there were obviously the players at the top, the players that put up the most yards or the most passing yards, most rushing yards. But I said who really stood out, and I started looking at who finished strong. Maybe they didn't have the most yards on the season. And I ended up at pick quarterback Mason Heinschel. He wasn't planned to be the starter this season. Actually, didn't take over really until he got in. They got into to conference play in early October, but nonetheless led Pitt to a 6-2 record in his starts. Overall, just shy of 2,100 yards passing, a 15.7 uh, TD interception ratio. And actually, if you look at just in conference play games, actually was tied with Kevin Jennings of SMU for passing yards per game. So was not planned to be the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh to start the season, but certainly was a big part of their surge towards the end of the season that had them make their way into the top 25 and ACC championship game contention.
Great picks by everybody. I like all those guys had monster seasons. I believe that this is still known as the James Conner Offensive Player of the Year award, which might lend credence to Andrew's pick, going with the tailback there. I like that. But I'm going to go with the guy who's kind of been the do it all player for his team. Georgia Tech stumbled down the stretch, but really had a fantastic season for the Yellow Jackets. And Haynes King was at the very heart of all of that. He's a quarterback, yes, threw for nearly 2,700 yards, 12 touchdowns on the season. But he's also really a running back, 922 yards and a league leading 15 touchdowns on the ground. Haynes King is a unique kind of athlete. really was the driving force behind a Georgia Tech offense that was at times as potent as just about anybody in the entire country. And I think he did enough to warrant the James Conner Offensive Player of the Year award this season.
All right. Well, we're going to move into defense next, and we will not speak the name of the namesake of our defensive award until we get around to David. So just we're going to talk about all the other ways that one can do defense before we talk about the right way to do defense in the ACC. One of those ways that you can do defense in any conference, as David already mentioned this week, is Ricardo Jones, 6 ints that leads the ACC for the season. He had one of those for a touchdown. Not too many yards on those ends overall. I think only 32. But hey, take away from another team is what matters. You don't have to go booking it with it after you get the ball.
So mine's gonna go to on the defensive side. So we're talking about that. Hezekiah Masses. I think I got his name right. The defensive back for Cal. Just to give you an idea of his stats this year, he's averaging 1.5 pass breakups or INTs a game. The person that's in fourth on this list, or tied for fourth, only has 0.83. He's essentially doubling his numbers compared to like even a top 5 player in the conference in terms of pass defended this year. Of course, there's Devin Marshall as well from NC State, and also his teammate, Mass's teammate Brent Austin deserves a little recognition for having 1.08 according to the ACC.com stats page. I think that's something I don't remember just talking about too much with Cal this year on the football team because there was so much else going on. But obviously, it sounds like they had some pretty solid defensive back work going on back there. And I think, at the end of the day, it should be recognized for that. Also, had 5 interceptions this year, which was leading, I think, second in the conference behind Ricardo Jones from Clemson.
Yeah, so so another pick that I actually kind of surprised me as I was looking at players' performance in total over the season is my defensive player of the year is going to SMU's Isaiah Smith. In conference play, led the ACC in tackles for loss and just finished a half sack behind the lead in sacks for the season. An SMU defense that didn't get a lot of credit. Actually, looking back, it played some bend but don't break defense. Was a team that was kind of in the middle, muddled in the middle as far as yards that they were giving up per game. The passing defense, rushing defense, none of it really stood out as elite. But at the end of the day, their points that they were giving up was near the tops of the league in the ACC, and I think that the pressure being put on by Isaiah Smith and that was definitely part of the reason that they were able to bend but not break and keep teams keep teams scoring down throughout the season. So definitely an elite performance by him and a solid performance by that SMU defense this season.
Look, guys, I appreciate all the hard work you've done. You really, our stat boy intern has been working overtime on behalf of of you. I value that. I see what you're doing, but you've all overthought this thing. This is still, as far as I know, the Luke Kuechly Defensive Player of the Year award. The namesake of this honor is somebody who played for a mediocre team and recorded every tackle for his team for the entire season. And this year we had a very worthy heir to Mr. Kuechly, and that is North Carolina State linebacker Caden Fordham. He notched a total of 130 tackles on the season, more than 10 per contest, and a full 2 tackles per game ahead of second place in the league. He did all the work for a mediocre NC State defense. That is enough to earn Mr. Caden Fordham the Luke Kuechly Award for 2025.
That is perfectly valid, David, as long as we all remember that 130 tackles is nowhere near a Luke Kuechly standard for number of tackles with a crappy team.
Listen, man, you can't expect guys these days to be that kind of god level, okay?
I just yeah. No, we need to go back and see how many people ever didn't he get over 200 at least one
I was supposed
season?
to say, I feel like he got 200.
Yeah.
It
So,
was an absurd amount. It's just like, good God, he's all over the place.
all right. Um, Jeff, I appreciate your ability to try to take this next column that we have seriously and look for some conversations other than the obvious. So I'm going to let you go first with your like well-reasoned take here. I'm not sure I'm going to let Jared talk on this one at all. So
Well,
coach of the year, who you got, Jeff?
well, I'll start off with my coach of the year with full disclosure, knowing that he'll be lucky to probably get a single vote for coach of the year when the actual voting takes place because of who's going to be talked about later on. But credit needs to be given to Jake Dicker, the core or the coach, new coach of Wake Forest. First season took over for longtime coach Dave Clawson, coming off of back-to-back 4-8 campaigns. Wake Forest, a hard place to recruit, a hard place to put together a consistent winner. Has started to slip behind and lose what momentum they had built under Dave Clawson at times. And all he's done is turn around and put and lead them to an 8-4 record this season, and that 8-4 record includes wins over a UVA team ranked, an SMU team probably ranked at the time. I'm not sure if they were ranked at the time, but either way, an SMU team that was ranked for most of the season. So within that 8-4 record, two very solid victories in that record. So my coach of the year is going to Jake Dickert for what he took over at Wake Forest and what he has led the Demon Deacons to back to bowl eligibility with some positive things going for him.
Almost, almost 10-win Wake.
Almost, but never, not quite. So, Jared, do you have a real answer, or are you really going to try and put the earliest fired coach in the history of the NCAA down as your coach of the year?
Listen, because of him willing to understand that sacrifice was needed at the altar, we were able to go ahead and take advantage of a situation presented to us that we never had in Virginia Tech history. We were able to get ahead of the coaching front and choose the best person for the job. Now, of course, Penn State making the decision to fire James Franklin changes everything in terms of that front where it just literally landed in our lap. But it would not have been possible if Brent Pry did not make the ultimate sacrifice and said to himself, listen, I may not be the right person for this job, but damn it, I'm not going to quit. And Virginia Tech said, that's fine, you're fired. And he got that sweet payout money anyway. He's happy, he's smiling. And we got the coach that Virginia Tech needs to go to the next level. And these two other guys are just going to say the same coach anyway. And honestly, if I had to choose, I would probably choose him anyway as well. But at the end of the day, I want to be different. I want to be unique. I want to be a talking point for you all listening on this podcast, on the road, or at the train station, wherever the hell you may be, and say Brent Pry is my ACC Coach of the Year for 2025.
If any of y'all
This
want
would
to
have been
write
a
in,
great time, Jared, for you to have confused Brent Pry with Brent Key, as you did many times. But I gotta be
Well,
honest with you.
it's like the only time it like hasn't happened, and
Yeah, I know.
it would have been the best time for it to happen.
You're not wrong about the arrival of James Franklin being one of the biggest news stories of the season for the ACC, but you're attributing it to the wrong person. Were it not for yours truly tipping off the Hokies to Franklin's possible availability, you would not be reveling in this good news on this very day.
You know,
So you're welcome, Hokie Nation.
it's a David. I thank the good Lord every day for saying, "Dear Lord, thank you for letting David, a UVA alum and lifer, to go ahead and just say, listen, James, this is the job for you,' and giving us that heads up. I thank the good Lord every day for that, brother."
David, do you want to go on to actually talk about who the actual coach of the year is gonna be?
Yeah, I don't think this is a homer pick. If you look at what preseason expectations were compared to actual performance on the year, it's Tony Elliott in a landslide. This is a guy who struggled through his first 3 years in Charlottesville, had faced more adversity probably than any other coach and program in the country during that time. Stuck it out. The school invested very heavily in NIL, but they also were developing some guys building toward this season as the year they could break through. And Virginia certainly has, making just their second ever ACC championship game appearance. Also, the program's second ever excuse me, 10-win season in over 130 years of competition. It's Tony Elliott's. Say whatever you will about what his track record has been, whether he'd ever called a play before he arrived in Charlottesville, but he is most certainly the winner of this year's Coach of the Year.
All right. When I hired Tony Elliott to be the offensive coordinator who never called a play in his life.
Seconded to that. That's the only rational pick for Coach of the Year this year. I mean, Virginia was on nobody's plan, and it's a reminder that that despite the fact that I've been told ever since the Cavaliers won that if the Cavaliers don't win again next week, it will be all their fault that the ACC doesn't have a team in the championship. The Cavaliers have saved this conference, Jared. It like Miami crap the bed, SMU crap the bed, Clemson crap the bed,
So you're
FSU
just saying that it's UVA's turn to crap the bed because that's what
FSU crapped.
logically.
No. What I'm saying is there were so many teams that were supposed to be the teams that were going to be there that would drive this forward. If you didn't have Virginia doing what they're doing, you just have Duke versus, I don't know, like NC State or Cal in the ACC championship, because obviously that's how the tiebreakers would have worked out. I don't understand.
I think there was one where Miami would have been in, which they could have picked up the pieces and taken care of business.
That's not the timeline I choose, Jared.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No. And I'm still going to stand by. I think if you go back and look at the last like 3 weeks of CFP ratings versus the AP and college football, or I mean, in the coaches ratings, you will note that the CFP guys just hate the group of five. The AP and the coaches think that there's something valuable about them, but the CFP guys, which is apparently the only one that matters, they just hate the group of five.
I'll tell you right now, they're going to hate Duke
However-
football more.
Yeah, yes, exactly right. They may hate the group of five. Duke ain't jumping over them though.
That be that as it may. I'm just saying that this thing whereby they're like people keep saying that they're coming. I think that they might like just decide to forget their rules and only let 4 conference champions in. If I'm being honest, like that's more what I think is going to happen here if Virginia doesn't win. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
For next year. That's what they'll do. Is like we couldn't come to an agreement for a new playoff format, but we did make the amendment of we're going to only do 4 conference champions next year.
All right, boys. You want to talk about some football?
So before we head on there though, I did look up after you brought up your Luke Kuechly award, and Andrew mentioned that that 130 tackles doesn't hold a candle to Luke Kuechly. So I had to go back and look. So in his 3 seasons at Boston College, here's his tackle totals: 158, 183, and 191.
He never got 200.
I think you need to play the extra games that like Boston College was not doing while he was there.
Well, yeah. So here's the interesting thing. Like, so he might have had a shot because he played 13 games the first 2 years. So presumably, I guess they must have made a bowl those 2 years. The year that he had the most tackles, they only played 12. So I mean, he was 9 short. If they, I don't know if he was injured or if that was a year they didn't make a bowl game. But yeah, 13th game might have gotten him there.
Yeah. Well, David, just before we do talk about the game that is coming up this week, we do want to call out very quickly our one final award, the Debbie Yao Get to That Bowl Game Award. For those of you long timers, you'll remember Debbie Yao was the longtime athletic director at NC State, who seemed to have developed the plan for NC State to play absolute garbage teams in their non-conference schedule, so that all they needed to do was go 2-6 to get to a bowl game. And in fact, we do have 2 teams who are recipients of that award this year, Louisville and Wake Forest, who went 4-0 in their non-conference schedule, which still seems like the right thing to do every year. Play garbage teams, beat the snot out of them, get a few wins. If you can get all the wins and you look awesome, but hey, it's a way to go. So congrats to Louisville and Wake Forest for getting those 4 easy wins and getting into that bowl game.
Might be kind of a Pyrrhic victory, though, because those are both programs that, though the athletic director may have done their job, those are both head coaches that might be in demand. The last thing I saw now has Jeff Brom listed as the betting favorite to be the next Penn State head coach. And Jake Dickert, I don't think he's going to jump this year, but he is the guy who's if he continues this success at Wake, he's going to be in high demand a year from now.
Yeah.
I don't think Penn State fans are going to be thrilled with Jeff Brom as their head coach. I'm just going to say that right now.
I'm telling you, just as much as the Hokies are the big winner of this coaching carousel, Penn State's the big loser.
Yeah.
There's no one they're going to hire that's going to be an upgrade over James Franklin. And it's possible that's going to be a major step back for them. Huge mistake.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about football because I know there's only one game on the docket this season, but I think all 4 of us could agree it is the most exciting ACC football game in years. This is pinnacle of the Atlantic Coast Conference. We're excited about the game down in Charlotte this coming Saturday night. But first, I do have a number of the week for you. It is not 35 this week, though I do want to point out that 35-0 was in play just about all night on Saturday. But the number of the week is 7. 7, boys. That's how many weeks in a row my bets have lost money. Pretty bad, right? But amazingly, it still leaves me nearly $1,000 ahead of Jared, who firmly cemented his last place spot this week by losing an incomprehensible $1,159, which, according to my brief research, appears to be a virtual tailgate record for futility. In other, much more important news, I won the preseason pick'em, which, as we all know, is all that really matters. Crown me.
You want to crown him? The crown ass.
I would like really Jared, you were winning the preseason until you didn't point out exactly how bad he did, really, David. He also lost $435 on the preseason.
Jared doesn't understand rivalries at all.
I don't. I mean, it just has not been a good year in a lot of ways.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing you weren't betting.
No kidding. I'm glad my 2 kids have kept me busy with like not putting bets on games this year because I would have lost so much more money.
All right.
So there's a game. ACC championship being played in Charlotte Saturday night, 8:00. As we've already kind of alluded, because of some crazy ACC. What was it? A 5-way tie for second place in the conference at 6-2. This is the downside of eliminating divisions is you get this kind of chaos. I think the final tiebreaker was basically the strength of schedule in conference games. So the win-loss record of conference opponents to this team. That's random. They don't control anything about it. But it ends up with Duke taking on the top seed Virginia Cavaliers. Right now at our publishing time, or I guess the opening line of this is Virginia by 2.5. This is a rematch of a game from just a couple of weeks ago. Virginia went down to Wallace Wade Stadium, took care of business. Won that one, I believe, 34-17. We know Jared's already mentioned how good Darian Mensah is. This is a chance to be a kind of a national coming out party for him and this Duke offense. It's kind of strength on strength. Duke offense has been the by far the best unit for them this season. Virginia's defense has been kind of carrying them second half of the season. Certainly true on Saturday night as well, where the offense kind of sputtered at times for UVA. It's been the defense that's seen them through. What do you see, guys? We haven't even shared our picks with each other, so I don't know what you're thinking. Can Virginia do the difficult task of beating a team not only twice in a season, but twice in a matter of a few weeks? Or does Duke get over the hump and celebrate their outstanding athletes? Probably not in the college football playoff, but as ACC champs.
I think, David, you kind of nailed it. It's beating a team twice. It's so difficult, and unless you're just atrociously bad and overmatched, it's difficult because now, although UVA obviously had a lot of knowledge on how to play Duke in the first game, in a game that was not as close as the score even showed. I mean, UVA was up by 30 at one point in the fourth. It was a blowout. Uh, Duke is going to learn from that game. Manny Diaz will do everything he can to get that team prepared, ready to go. And he does have the quarterback to kind of go ahead if things start to fall their way, keep up with UVA or even, possibly keep UVA bogged. I think both teams are going to be nervous, and I think UVA is going to be more nervous because they're actually the favorite. They are expected to win. There's no boogeyman of like the Virginia Tech game last week, like, oh well, Virginia Tech has just had this outrageous past 30 years against them. It'll be same old UVA if they lost. They blew through that, no problem. But now they have that expectation, like, okay, great job, UVA. Now you need to go out and win the title because it's for yours for the taking. And I'm wondering how they're UVA's gonna respond to that. It's quite a different position they've been in now since all year. Like every game has been like, it's 50-50, or we kinda, wouldn't be shocked if they dropped the ball in this game. They're now the target on their back. They are that team. They're not the one going after the opponent as the underdog. They are now, they're not David anymore, they're Goliath, and in this game at least. And I think that's gonna be something I think mentally, I don't know how Tony Ellis prepared the team for, and if you're Dana Diaz, tell him you got nothing to lose. You tell him, it's just like, "Go out there and play. You lose, we go to a bowl game anyway. If you win the ACC, we'll probably go to the Orange Bowl because of affiliation, but then again, that's part of the college football playoff, so you're probably gonna go to the Idaho Bowl up in, Boise." It
If you've listened to Tony Elliott talk at all, and you listened to him talk last week, the score on the scoreboard at halftime wasn't what mattered. Finishing the game, making sure not to let off the gas is what mattered to him, and that's the story he told the team. This team is absolutely still an underdog. They weren't ranked at the beginning of the season. They're not supposed to be here. They're not supposed to be there. They're certainly not supposed to be in the college football playoff. It doesn't matter who the team is that they have to face to get there. I don't think that they're Goliath at all. If you think that a Virginia team that has been as historically bad as we have talked about, and we have sat here and paid attention to every game that every team in the ACC has played for the past 15 years, they do not become a Goliath overnight. Uh, also, I would like to point out that Darian Mensah, as amazing as he has been this season, he's had some very good years. He was held to his lowest completion number against UVA. He was held to, I think, his second lowest yardage number. I don't understand how Bill Belichick's defense also held him to this is such a low number, but that may be more of a sign of how he is. Um, he had the most sacks he had ever had put up on him whenever UVA played him. They said in the UVA Duke broadcast at some point that Duke had not been held to straight 3-and-outs all season before UVA did it, and then they held them to a fourth. There are things that you can do to adapt to that, but, um, in terms of who's nervous and who's not, I wouldn't wanna be Darian Mensah coming back to, face the defense that absolutely obliterated me. It's not like his O-line got bigger or faster in the last couple of weeks. Um, yes, UVA doesn't have Cam Robinson, but the next guy stepped up and scared the crap out of Tech in the first drive. So, um, I don't know, man. I gotta say, if we were actually picking this game, especially given that it's 2.5 and that's darn near a pick 'em, I'm just taking Virginia and the points because what the heck? I'm definitely not gonna take Duke on the money line on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a way for us to, like, maybe, like, after, like, David weighs into, we can kind of discuss this because everything points to wanting to say, "Why is this a minus 2.5?" Like, you look, we spend all this time of, like, Duke, they're 7-5 overall. Virginia, like, they're ranked in the top 25. Duke's not even ranked. Right now, they had to have a whole bunch of things go wrong for other teams and crazy 5-way tiebreaker to even get in this game. They got doubled up by Virginia less than a month ago. Why is it -2.5? And I think it's because of some of what Jared said is the what do you learn from the loss? I unlike what Andrew what you kind of allude to, I do think there's like pressure on the Cavaliers in this game, more so than there is for the Blue Devils. The Blue Devils are playing with house money at this point. They're not supposed to be here. And I get what you're saying that Virginia's not supposed to be here either. But of the two teams that is here, they're the ones that are supposed to win. And they're the ones that are supposed to, with all the pressure of the ACC, the college football playoff, the ACC being down. I I mean, I know that that's all really not things that are X's and O's in a game, but it all starts to add up and weigh, and the players are going to hear the chatter. They know where the ACC sits in this college football playoff, and the way it's getting talked about. They know that there's a very real chance that the ACC doesn't have a team in the top 12 CFP if they lose this game. And I think that's a lot of pressure for a team that's not used to having success until this season. Um, but outside of that, it feels like a Virginia team that has all the tools in place to do what they did to Duke, a second time around. But David, I'll let you weigh in, and I kind of like a way that I think we could kind of walk through it as we wrap up that might be interesting. But I'll let you weigh in on what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have kinda nailed the discussion here. Again, I said earlier, I think it's strength on strength with this, Duke offense going up against the Virginia defense. My guess is, though Andrew's right that Darian Minter really struggled against Virginia the last time around, my guess is he reverts to the mean. He's gonna have a better game in Charlotte on Saturday than he did in Durham a couple weeks ago. But I do think defense travels, and this Virginia defense, if you look especially the last 6 weeks or so, they have been really untouchable. I mean, the last time Virginia surrendered more than 21 points in a game was all the way back to the beginning of October on the road against Louisville. This is a defense that is just, they are coming out and playing very, very strong. I've said on this show a couple times, I think I have concerns about Virginia's offense. We've seen, especially if you saw their loss to Wake Forest. I mean, they couldn't once Chandler Morris was out of the game, the offense couldn't do anything. Despite having Jamari Taylor, having a lot of talent there, they really struggled. But I think this to me feels like a little bit of a grind of a game, but one that in the end Virginia wins comfortably. My guess is this is a 31-21 final score that's not easy. It's not a blowout like the last time these teams matched up, but there's a clear talent discrepancy here. Over the course of 4 quarters, that comes to the surface. Virginia gets the win, and they are, playoff bound.
Yeah, I think I think what weighs on me is to your point, which Virginia team shows up in this game, and that's where the danger lies because definitely a big victory over the Hokies. A little bit of had some butterflies starting the game there, but came out with what ended up being a really dominating performance against them. A dominating performance a few weeks prior against Duke, but then you've got the Wake loss, you've got a Cal victory that was closer than that 10-point spread for quite a bit. And you start to get into these questionable games of where a few plays here or there could have had Virginia in that 7-5 type of record, similar to where Duke is, which brings me to kind of like just kind of like a around the horn type thing. So if we're to break apart this game into the different facets of the areas, I'm just curious, like, what's your all's who do you have more confidence in, or you can even like say that it's basically negligible and it's a tie. Of what facet you have like more confidence in. So if we were to say, like for example, head coach, we've got Manny Diaz and Tony Elliott. Like just real quick, you can either say it's like equal or just like who it is. Like who do you have more confidence in going into this game, Tony Elliott or Manny Diaz?
Are you gonna do whole coaching staff, or is it just head coach?
Well, just like this would just be like, yeah, like head like just we can do coaching staff. Like do coaching staff to keep it simple. So yeah, just like overall like coaching as like an aspect of each team.
I would take the Virginia staff, but probably Manny Diaz.
I I think the same that I was gonna say because like I have a lot more confidence in our like say our offensive coordinator right now, and definitely in our defensive coordinator. But I don't know that I have ever gotten a sense for what extra Tony Elliott is bringing to the table other than having hired those guys.
Yeah. So it does sound like you three are all picking UVA. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Jared,
I
I literally
I think
bet you
you're
were
I
more
think you're afraid
UVA.
I think you're afraid to make a pick. Come on, man. Give it to us. You going Manny Diaz? You all into the Manny?
Oh, David left the meeting here. But
He said he had to go.
yeah. So David
Uh-oh.
made it. He made his pick, and I think I'm gonna go ahead. I'll choose UVA as well. I think the Cavaliers are the better team. And I'm hoping at this point, since it's a sweep, it places the curse on them, and Duke wins the game.
Means he really thinks that it's Duke.
Um, well,
So, yeah, so I realized we bumped up against David having to leave. Would have liked to have heard his take, but so and you might be familiar with this, Jared, like, Mike and Mike used to kinda do this in the playoffs, so it was like coaching staff, and then you would go to, like, quarterback. So now you're talking, like, who do you have more confidence in? It would be, like, Chandler Morris versus, like, Darian Mensah.
yeah. Well,
Mensa.
I think offense is Duke right
Yeah,
now, and defense is UVA. And
yeah,
it's David was saying, defense does travel better, and
mhm.
that's the case that favors UVA. And honestly, I think UVA does have slightly more talent. But again, if they don't play A-plus ball, I think Duke has a legit shot to win this football game. And I think and that is, yes, indeed, Andrew, the doomsday scenario of the college
Well,
football playoff.
I think it's interesting though, because you go kind of big whenever you said offense versus defense. Jeff said quarterback, and I would definitely say Mensa if we're going directly with quarterback.
Mm,
Other parts of the offense, though, I'm
mhm.
gonna give to like Jamari Taylor is like there's no equivalent on the Duke side.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
and that's an X factor right there. And so like that, when we start getting into the breakdowns, you know, I'm not even gonna make a pick on wide receivers or tight ends. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
well
yeah,
enough.
yeah, you can slice it however you want, as far as you want. Yeah, normally it would be like, yeah, like quarterback's an easy one, and then you could kind of do like just basically you can go receiver, running back, defense. You don't have to do like every single position. But yeah, like you said, like running back, you'd give the edge to UVA. Receivers, I don't know much about either one. I'd say that they're probably roughly even, and I think you give the edge to the defense to UVA in this one. But yeah, I think all that kind of rounds out why most of us, other than maybe Jared, think that on paper this is a UVA team that should be able to replicate what they did a few weeks ago. But, uh, you know, Darian Mensah plays to his potential. That brings the game closer. Nerves come into play. You never know. I mean, it could be a. I think it's hard to see. You always like think about these games is I think it's hard to see Duke blowing Virginia out. I could see Virginia blowing Duke out, or as David kind of said before he hopped off, a grinded out game that's entertaining for anybody that doesn't have a doesn't have a horse in the race, and is like antacid inducing for those of us that do.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that is going to be it for the virtual tailgate. Uh, you can send your questions or comments to virtualtailgate at mediabullcrap.com.
And always remember these three rules: never get less than 12 hours sleep.
Never play cards with this. Oh god, I lost the script.
Oh, never. Jared
Never get
says
involved with the woman with a tattoo of a dagger on her body.
stick to that, and everything else is cream cheese.
It's a ball game for Jared, at least.
Oh god, absolutely.